So in the last class, we have seen how the semi-bridge converter works, and semi-bridge converter implies that there are two thyristors and two diodes, TH1, TH2, D3, and D4, and we analyzed and understood how the current waveform, this is the firing angle alpha, the current waveform would be like this, because this portion, this D2 and D3, the current will be, the ID will be freewheeling in this manner, and it will not come to the input side. So input side will see only a chunk of the current between alpha and pi. So it will extend from this to this is pi. So this is pi. This is pi. So its conduction duration is alpha to pi, and similarly here pi plus alpha to 2 pi. So in the negative chunk. So positive part and negative part, it will be conducting like this. Here it is conducting TH1 D4, and the other portion is TH2 and D3 that will be conducting. The remaining portion, the current, the load current, which is the DC side current, ID, is freewheeling through D3 and D4. So the one of the consequence of this is that we will have a kind of change in the displacement factor. So you remember the displacement factor. So we'll calculate the displacement factor for it. You remember the displacement factor formula. The displacement factor is, first is how much power is coming from the input, P in. So first part I need to find out is P in. So let us find out what is P in from basic integration. Basic integration in the P in, what we will do is, it is 2 by T from alpha by omega, because that is what from there it is conducting. Other part current is 0, so there is no question of power. So alpha by omega to pi by omega. So that is the conduction duration. That is when this Vm sine omega t, it is the voltage, supply voltage. VAC is equal to Vm sine omega t. Let me put this as capital Vm, so that this is capital Vm into sine omega t into ID. You understood why I took this limit, because otherwise the current is 0 from the input side into dt, right? And you know the positive part and negative part is equal, power would be equal. So so this 2 factor is coming in, and t is the period, right? 2 is the factor is coming, and t is equal to period. So if we do the integration, it is easy integration. So what we'll get is that 2 by omega t Vm id into minus cos of omega t, and the limit is from alpha by omega to pi by omega. So therefore we'll get this is equal to Vm id, and omega t is equal to 2 pi, 2 cancels, so Vm id by pi is pi into 1 plus cos alpha. So that is the power. That is the power calculated from the first principle. The first principle of power is 1 by t, 0 to t, v in I in dt. That is the basic formula of power. 0 to t, v in I in into dt, right? This is the basic formula for power. Now, since positive cycle and negative cycle are equal, so that's why the 2 factor comes in, and subsequently we have done this integration and found out the power. So next formula that we need to find out is what is the RMS voltage of the input fundamental. So input side voltage is sinusoid, so there is no question of harmonics here. So the fundamental voltage itself is of the expression Vm sine omega t. So the RMS value of this, so I will write V in, implying that is the RMS, or VAC, sorry, VAC, right? Now let me put it VAC AC, right? So VAC, that is this implies the RMS value. Capital VAC implies RMS value. So RMS value is nothing but Vm by √2. So now what is left out is to find out what is the AC fundamental, which is nothing but fundamental RMS value of the, which implies RMS of the fundamental component of current, fundamental component of current. That is what is left to be found out. So that means here I cannot avoid finding out the fundamental component of this current waveform. Now look at it very clearly. What is that? It is showing that for alpha duration the current is 0, then it is expanded and it is continuing up to pi, right? And then 0, and then this and this. So our basic expression for finding out this thing will be as the Fourier series formula is, but in general Fourier series formula will have in this case both sinusoidal sine function and cosine function, because the waveform is not showing the neither even symmetry nor odd symmetry. With respect to whom? With respect to this 0. If I look at it from this 0, this waveform doesn't show symmetry. So what we'll do is we'll do a clever thing. We'll do that. We'll try to, in order to avoid two calculations, that we will have to find out both an and bn. As you know, the terms are an and bn. One corresponds to cosinusoidal term, another corresponding to sinusoidal term, depending upon the function. And here we do a little clever thing. We just say that observation say that, let us say that our 0 is now shifted here. We are shifting the 0 to alpha by 2 from here. So this is what we are doing, a 0 shifting, right? So from that perspective, if you observe from this 0 and from this 0, the current waveform is now symmetric. You see that it is symmetric because it is starting from this 0. This current is coming at alpha by 2, right? And it is ending at pi minus alpha by 2. It is ending from this corresponding to, from this 0 with respect to the 0. This point is now coming out to be pi, and therefore this is pi minus alpha by 2. So our integration is becoming somewhat simpler, as the waveform I have introduced the odd symmetry here. So only the sinusoidal component I have to calculate. So with this shift in the 0, which from original voltage 0 to an angle alpha by 2, I can I now have to compute only the sinusoidal part of it. So let me compute that. So you understand what I mean. So this is the waveform actually. Let me draw it. So it is my now new 0. So new 0, with that waveform is this, current waveform is now this new 0. With this new 0, this is now alpha by 2, and this is now pi minus alpha by 2, and this value is ID. So what is this? What is the expression? What is that we have to do? That is integration we have to do. We are finding out B fundamental component only. So B1, what is supposed to be the B1, it is equal to the formula is 2 by T. So 2 by T, right? This is 2 by T, okay, and 0 to T, right? 0 to T. In that integration, we already know that this integration in the positive part and negative part will be equal. So we are only integrating from alpha by 2 to pi minus alpha by 2, and the current is ID sine omega t and dt. dt I convert it into d omega t, multiplying by this and then put omega here. So you understood what I did. Original formula would have been dt. I multiplied it by omega. and therefore I brought the omega here for my convenience. So this is becoming 4 by 2 pi. So it is 2 by pi into id into this integration. Now by this time we know that it is equal to 2 into cos of alpha by 2, right? So basically I am getting 4 id by pi into cos of alpha by 2. That is the component. However, this is the shifted with respect to the shifted what to say, the zero, the reference, with the shifted reference, which is shifted with respect to the voltage 0 by an angle alpha by 2. So if I want to write with respect to the original one, how should I write the current expression? I would write the fundamental component IAC1. I am writing the complete expression. Its magnitude will be how much? 4 id by pi into cos of, this is the magnitude, right? Cos alpha by 2 into sine of omega t, and it has been shifted by alpha by 2 because its 0 is now, its 0 is here. This is the fundamental component of the current waveform. This is the fundamental component of the current waveform. And this is with respect to the voltage. This is the voltage. This voltage with respect to the voltage, there is another angle alpha by 2. So this sign, this waveform fundamental, which is, I am referring this as IAC1, suffix 1. 1 is for fundamental. So that has a phase shift of alpha by 2. That's why I am writing it as this expression, minus alpha by 2 with respect to the voltage. That means I am treating VAC is equal to Vm sine of omega t. So therefore the current would be of this expression, right? Now I have got everything. So I will now apply the formula for displacement factor. So displacement factor is displacement factor. First is the what is the power? So power I have seen is nothing but, what was the power? This is the power expression, VMID 1 plus cos alpha by pi. So VMID 1 plus cosine alpha by pi. What is the divided by the RMS value of the fundamental component? So that is Vm by root 2 voltage. And what is the current? Current is 4 id by pi into root 2, right? Cos of alpha by 2. That is the RMS value of the fundamental component of the current. So what do I see? I see that this pi cancels. This root 2 and this 2 cancels. So Vm and Vm cancels, id and id cancels. So what I get is 1 plus cos alpha by 2 cos of alpha by 2. So which is nothing but 2 cos square alpha by 2 by 2 cos of alpha by 2. So which is nothing but equal to cos of alpha by 2. So we see that due to the semi-bridge structure, the displacement factor has changed. Earlier the displacement factor was alpha. When it was a full bridge converter, 4th thyristor converter, the displacement factor was cos alpha. Now we see that the displacement factor has become cos alpha by cos alpha by 2. If somebody has a better intuition, it can immediately find out that it will be cos alpha by 2, because the way the waveform is there, the way the current waveform is there, you can see that the current waveform is now phase shifted by alpha by 2 instead of alpha. Earlier what it was, earlier the current waveform, if we look at it, that time the current waveform would have been starting from alpha and going up to pi plus alpha. It would have gone up to pi plus alpha like this, and then negate, and then negate, right? So the shift would have been the sinusoid, the corresponding fundamental would have been drawn, should have been drawn like this, should have been drawn like this. So fundamental is now shifted from the original by an angle alpha. Whereas in this case, it is the fundamental has come here. The fundamental has come here. This is the fundamental, it has come. So the angular shift with respect to the voltage 0 is now alpha by 2. This is alpha by 2. Okay. So this is how by observation itself you can get the idea that the due to the semi-bridge converter, once you look at the waveform, and see the symmetry of the waveform and how the symmetry can be established, and once the symmetry, this is odd wave symmetry we are establishing, so that it can be expressed only using one coefficient, one Fourier coefficient B1. We don't need to calculate A1. And when we do that, from observation itself, we can see that the fundamental component of the current is shifted with respect to the voltage by an angle alpha by 2. In earlier case, when it was a full bridge thyristor converter, the fundamental component of current was shifted by an angle alpha, right? So this is, you can see, since we have got that, we can find out what is the distortion factor and what is the power factor, etc. and etc. No issue. Power factor, in order to find out power factor, what you have to do is you have to find out the RMS value of the current. Okay, so you have to find out I AC RMS. That is what let us kind it, not of the fundamental component. This was the fundamental component RMS, but here it is the IAC RMS. And what is the IAC RMS? If you do again the integration, you will see that it is 2 by T 0 to T by 2 and I square dt, which is nothing but integration has to be done only from pi alpha to pi minus alpha. So if I do the integration, I will get it as ID into 1 minus alpha by pi. Okay, so that will be our RMS value, means square root of that, which will mean that ID into hello, can you see my screen now? I lost this thing. Hello?
Yes, sir. Screen is visible.
Okay. Yes. So that is all about the semi-bridge converter and how it affects the displacement factor. Now we'll be taking it into taking the thyristor converter into more precisely, or more what to say, with more details, so that we can get the actual solution of the current waveform. That is what now we'll be approaching. So far I was talking only qualitatively. I was telling what all things has to happen if the and mostly I was talking in terms of average quantities. I didn't describe the current in the inductor in an instantaneous sense. I only described the current in the average sense, average equation. What is the voltage average and what is the current average, and only that too for the continuous conduction situation. But it's not that all the time thyristor converter will be operating in continuous conduction situation. So we must have an analytical way of getting the current expression, and that we will do now. So let me draw the converter one more time. I am coming back to the full bridge converter because that is what is interesting and that is what mostly will be used, because as you know that full bridge converter we get both forward and reverse power flow, which is not possible to get if we have a semi-bridge converter. So let us see, this is a thyristor converter and naming convention is same, TH1, TH3, TH2, TH4, and this is a load. And let us come back to our general load structure. That means it has a voltage VD, it has an inductor L, and it has resistance R, and this is VAC. Now, to analyze it, you must understand that there can be two modes of operation. Probably this you have understood from your DC to DC conversion of understanding, that one could be the inductor current is that is, let us call it ID. So ID can be continuous. Mostly we have dealt with continuous situation because it is easy, somewhat easy, because at least why it is easy, because that time if the current is continuous, I can clearly define what will be the Vrect waveform, because I know all the time either TH1 or TH4 are conducting or TH3 and TH2 are conducting. So the voltage, the AC voltage is somewhat rectified and coming to the DC side. That is clear. But if the current is not continuous, then I cannot clearly, unambiguously from the beginning itself define V rectifier waveform, because I don't know when the current is coming down to zero. Current would be positive for some time, and during the conduction or during the operation, at some point of time, the current would come down to zero. In a discontinuous conduction, but I don't know which duration it will come down to. I may know at which duration it will be starting to conduct. How do I know? Because I know alpha. If I know alpha, I may be able to say when the current will be starting to conduct. But how do I know when the current will stop conducting? Because current can never reverse. So that's why this discontinuous conduction mode is very much into the operation of this thyristor converter. So that is what the real difficulty comes. So IT can be continuous or discontinuous. Continuous. The continuous operation, as I repeat, V rectifier you can define. V rectifier, what will be the average value of V rectifier? V rect is equal to, we have found out that 2 Vm by pi into cos alpha. That we have derived, that it will be 2 Vm by pi into cos alpha. By the way, I have already derived that what is the rectified voltage if this is if this were that would have been Vm by pi into 1 plus cos alpha. That is for what is that called? Semi-bridge converter. Today itself I have done it. Semi-bridge converter. For semi-bridge converter, V rectifier under continuous conduction, under continuous CCM mode. So CCM mode, this V rectifier is clearly definable. We can clearly define it, right? But when it is discontinuous, it is not so clearly definable, because let us see qualitatively. Let us see, this is the voltage. This is the AC voltage. You take that, right? It is the AC voltage, and there is a current. You have fired at this time. Let us say you have fired at this time, and the current will build up from zero in discontinuous conduction mode. That is the point. That it will build up from zero and it will conduct for some time, and before the subsequent firing comes, subsequent firing is coming. Let us say here. This is alpha, and this is alpha plus pi, the subsequent thyristor firing is coming. Subsequent means first is TH1 and TH4 are fired. Here there will be TH2 and T3 will be fired here. So this is for TH1, TH4, and this is third thyristor firing is TH2 and TH3 are fired here. But before that itself, at some point, I don't know where, sometimes people call it beta angle, so that they call it that beta angle. I may sometimes use alpha 1 and alpha 2. They call it beta angle. Some point here, let us call this angle as beta angle. So at that point, the current is again coming back to zero, and then again in the negative cycle, the similar thing is happening. Similar thing is happening. Current is again starting from here and going to somewhere here, ending somewhere here before this. So this is what is discontinuous, and I have drawn it as a nice sine wave. It is not so. The shape is not sine wave. You must understand that the shape is not sine. There is no reason the shape to be sine, because the voltage applied across the RL circuit, RLN circuit also has a DC voltage applied. So a combination of the AC voltage and the DC voltage will produce the current. So current waveform is not sinusoidal, right? So what is the rectified voltage? That's what I'm trailing. The rectified voltage is definable as long as it conducts. That means it is definable as this. This is the rectified voltage. This is the rectified voltage. As long as the current is conducting, this input voltage is coming to the terminal. So it is terminal, but here you see it has stopped because this has become zero. So what will be the voltage at that point? What will be the Vrect at that point? Can anybody tell me? As long as this was conducting, Vrect was the input voltage. This is Vrect. Vrect was equal to VAC as long as this was conducting. But the moment the current in the inductor has become zero, this is ID, ID has become zero. What will be Vrect?
Like VD.
Good. That time it will jump back to VD. So VD may be staged, VD place may be here, VD may be here, VD may be level of VD may be somewhere here. I am not doing a good drawing, but you understand, somewhere here. So what will happen? So somewhere here. So this is the level of VD, is somewhere here. So what will happen? The moment it has jumped, it will go to the level of VD. So it will look like this. It is jumping. I will draw with this color. So it is jumping and going to the level of VD, and then staying there. For how much duration? Till the firing of TH2 and TH3 happens. So the moment again it fires, now the voltage is how much? The voltage is actually rectified, which essentially means the negative of VAC. In the first part, positive part, when TH1 and TH4 conducts, V rectifier is equal to plus VAC. When TH2 and TH3 conducts, it is equal to minus VAC, but VAC itself has negated. So therefore it is again positive. So it will jump back to this level and will be continuing till it becomes this, then it falls into the discontinuous conduction mode. And again jumps back to the level of this. That means here I may think that it has jumped back. The current was zero, so voltage was somewhat negative. Voltage blue color, which color? This color. Voltage was somewhat negative, and then it has jumped back to this level, and staying there till firing happens. So this is the shape of the rectified voltage. The real problem is, from the beginning I don't know what is the value of beta. That is the problem. That is the issue. I don't know. So I can only sketch it qualitatively. I cannot immediately sketch it with accuracy, with precision. From the beginning I cannot dictate that beta will be, let us say, 187 degrees. I don't know. So I need to, in order to solve this sort of issues, I need to solve it accurately. I cannot do an average analysis. On all that average analysis is still not giving me much. I can say that the average voltage of the inductor is 0. So how does it help? I don't know. I don't know. But then the equation is V rectifier average is equal to R into I average plus Vd. But I don't know what is I average. So I cannot solve it with an average analysis. Average analysis is true, but average, you see, the V rectified average is also consisting of not only the input voltage but the Vd voltage. The level of when the current is not stopped conducting, the level of voltage is Vd. Never the average thing will be wrong. V rectified is equal to R into ID, means average, plus Vd. That is true. But it is not helping me to solve because I don't know Vd. I don't know ID. I know only, I don't know V rectifier. I only know Vd. I only know R. But how can I solve? I cannot solve it, right? Without knowledge of beta, I cannot solve it. So we have to have that solution. We have to learn that solution, at least formulate that solution. Okay. So, but a few things has to be observed here itself. Okay, few things have to be observed. First observation, if I tell you, tell me whether it is right or wrong. Suppose my firing angle is alpha. Then assume that it is in continuous. Suppose you assume that it is in continuous conduction mode, right? If it were in, not assume, I am saying if it were in continuous conduction mode, what would have been the average value of the rectified voltage? That we know. That we know that this will be the average value of the rectified voltage, right? Is it not? Then if I choose, then what happens? Then what happens? In the continuous conduction modes, the V rectified voltage, average value of the V rectified voltage is equal to R into I average plus Vd, right? That means it must be greater than Vd, right? It must be V rectified in the continuous conduction mode. V rectified voltage must be greater than Vd. So in other way, if I say that if Vd is greater than 2 Vm by pi cos alpha, it must be in the discontinuous conduction mode. That I can conclude. What I am trying to say is that for a firing angle alpha, if Vd is greater than 2 Vm by pi cos alpha, then it must be in DCM, discontinuous conduction. But that is not because you can clearly see other way around. Because the moment it is continuous conduction mode, then what happens in CCM? One thing is always has to be ensured that V2 Vm by pi cos alpha has to be greater than Vd, because in actual equation it is Vd plus I into R. Vd plus I into R. If I one case, so at least it is greater than Vd. It must be greater than Vd. Otherwise, it cannot be in continuous conduction mode. I will come to it doesn't mean, and let me it doesn't mean that if 2 Vm by pi cos alpha is greater than Vd, it must be in CCM. It doesn't mean that. It is a necessary condition, but not a sufficient condition. After in CCM, in order to be in CCM, it must be greater than, this is a first condition, this is a necessary condition. It must be satisfied, but it is not a sufficient condition. Not only that, we have to subsequently see what are the values of L by R. Then after that, it will depend upon the circuit time constant, or in other words, it will depend upon value of the inductor in the circuit, time constant, L by R time constant of the circuit. So moral of the story is that if in brief I can say that if Vd is greater than 2 Vm by pi cos alpha, it must be in DCM. If 2 Vm by pi cos alpha is greater than Vd, it could be in CCM or DCM. Okay, but to be in CCM, at least this condition has to be satisfied. 2 Vm by pi cos alpha must be greater than Vd. But don't jump into the conclusion that it is in CCM. It may be in CCM and may not be CCM, but that depends upon R by L by R time constant of the circuit. So let me write this. Any question on the argument? You have understood that to be in CCM, 2 Vm by pi cos alpha greater than Vd is necessary, but not sufficient. It could be that it could be in DCM as well, because it depends on circuit time constant L by R. Obviously, more L is likely to produce constant L by R. More L is likely to produce the CCM situation. Clear? Have I told it unambiguously? Yeah.
So like in the earlier class you told that if ID is negative, then like the converter, like it will act like an inverter, right? If ID is negative.
Here the ID cannot be negative. I have put only thyristor in the positive direction. Hello,
Okay,
you did not. It is
yes,
only
sir.
thyristors are only in the forward one bridge. That is a 2-bridge converter. Okay, there has to be then otherwise has to be another thyristor in anti-parallel. Okay, so that is not what I am talking about. It is a forward converter. It is only 1-bridge converter, but it can be bidirectional power flow. Power flow is bidirectional because Vrect can be negative. Right, Vrect can be negative. If alpha is greater than 90 degree, then Vrect becomes negative in continuous conduction mode. Again, I have to add that in continuous conduction mode, because you see the formula. If alpha is greater than 90 degree, this formula is suggesting the average voltage is negative, current is positive. So what does it mean? Power is flowing from the DC side to AC side. Okay, don't. I'm not talking about that. I'm not. But current cannot be negative in the topology that I'm talking about, because of the thyristor directions. It must come to the current must come down to 0. Okay, it cannot go to negative. So the issue that we are dealing with it is how do I know the circuit in CCM or DCM? It is difficult. It is not as easy as the DC to DC converters we have analyzed earlier. It requires more intuition. More intuition is required, and the intuition has 2 simple guidelines. However, it has 2 simple guidelines. First of all, first guideline is that if Vd is greater than 2 Vm by pi cos alpha, it doesn't matter. If Vd is greater than that, it must be in DCM, irrespective of L by R, irrespective of whatever L by R you are putting. Let me say that also clearly. Irrespective of L by R, the circuit time constant, it must be in this. Okay. However, when it is in CCM, I don't know immediately. First thing I have to cross check that is Vd less than 2 Vm by pi cos alpha. Then I will have this thing in my mind that it may be in CCM, may be in DCM. Okay, the situation is difficult for me. I am not immediately able to conclude. Then I have to look at the circuit time constant and somewhat make a judicious guess, maybe that it may be in CCM. It may be in CCM if L is too high, L by R time constant is too large. then it may be, you can common sense, maybe L by R time constant maybe more than 10 millisecond, maybe the 10 millisecond is sufficient so that the current is not allowed to come down. Like that, 10 millisecond into 4, little bit high, 40, 50 millisecond. So this kind of intuition is required when the possibility of both CCM and DCM exists. Okay, but then we should be, if we're very specific, we then have to solve the equation. So I am now talking about how to solve the equation. How to solve the equation? First, I will talk about how to solve the equation for DCM mode. So let us do how to solve actual current equation and find ID expression. So ID expression, in order to write the ID expression, what we know, what we can write is that what is the equivalent circuit. I am just now writing the equivalent circuit. This equivalent circuit is R, L, and VD in the DC side. Okay, and let us say I am writing the duration. This is ID, and when the current is there, when ID is greater than 0. So then what is the voltage here? So then the voltage is VAC rectified, VAC in fact, VAC. The current voltage, I am talking about the duration only positive cycle. Let us say positive cycle, because positive cycle means voltage positive cycle. Okay, the positive cycle means a positive cycle implies when I fire, when TH1 and TH4 are conducting. This is what is called positive cycle. When TH1 and TH4 are conducting, I know that the voltage that is coming to DC side is VAC. I hope you have no doubt about that, because I have assumed that ID greater than 0, only that duration. After that, I don't have to do any equation. You understand that? Because there is no current, what equation? There is no equation then. Okay, so I am trying to find out what is my basic objective. That current is started somewhere here alpha, and it is coming down. Let me not always do a sinusoidal profile. Let me not, because you may get a wrong notion. Oh. You may get a wrong notion. The current is somewhat like going up and coming down. This is alpha, this is beta. Okay, this is alpha and this is beta. Sometimes people call it at extinguishing angle, because this is called firing angle, beta is called extinguishing angle. This type of terminologies are used. Sometimes we confuse ourselves. Oh, since I don't know the terminology, I don't know the meaning. But you should have at that time a little bit of imagination to think from the English word. They are calling extinguishing. So since alpha is called firing, we must be meaning the opposite thing when the current is again coming back to 0. Right? This is ID again coming back to 0. So this is what they are talking. And during this portion, the equation must be then written as what? Vm sine omega t. What must be the equation? Vm sine omega t is equal to R id plus L d id dt plus Vc. What did I write? Vc or Vd? Today's class I was writing Vd. Yeah, earlier I might have written Vc. Forgive me for that. This is Vd. Right. Right. So it's a DC voltage in the circuit. So this is the equation. So what is the solution of this equation? From your network analysis, can you guess it's a first order differential equation? What will be the solution? What will be the structure of the solution? If I write the structure of the solution as this, I first have to find out. Yeah, sorry, tell me. Yeah, if somebody wants to.
It will have a sinusoidal term multiplied by an exponentially decaying term in that, like, of that form.
I will take the what is that called? Superposition idea. Like I assume that Vd is not there. And what is the steady state solution? So what is the steady state solution? That I say Vm by Z. I'm assuming that Vd is not that. I'm breaking it into components. First is steady state, and then another is the transient part. Okay, what you call as particular integral and complementary function. So due to Vm sin omega t with the R and L circuit, what will be the steady state current? Vm by Z. Z is nothing but square root of R square plus omega square L square, okay, into sine of omega t minus what? Phase shift. Phase shift is tan inverse omega L by R. This is the first part. First take the steady state solution as if it is the steady state solution. Take each source independently. Ignore the other source. The other source was a DC source that I have ignored. So simply due to this AC source, this is the current component. Due to the DC source, what will be the current? Look at the direction of the current. DC source plus minus. So current is trying to flow in the other direction. So it will be Vd by R. Here R is the resistance, L is this inductance, right? Plus some transient part. As you are guessing, that let the transient part I don't know in the beginning. So A is a coefficient, e to the power minus t by tau. Tau is equal to L by R. So L by R. Okay, right. So I may even write it as okay, I'm not right. I may even write it as omega t by omega L. Okay, omega t will be making this type of thing as theta. So I may write it as omega t by omega L by R, or let me not write it that. I am just multiplying and dividing. It will be this t by tau. This is the expression of t by tau. This is the transient part. This is the transient part. Think that is what is giving this waveform non-sinusoidal shape. The first part is some kind of a sinusoidal shape it is bringing in. The second part is some kind of a DC thing it is bringing in. This is a kind of exponential part it is bringing in. So it is a combination of all these things, and this transient is dying because of the forced stopping by the thyristors, because thyristors will not allow this transient to continue in the negative direction. The thyristor says that I will stop conducting. So that is why this is ending. That is why its transient is ingrained into as if it is a steady state thing, but the transient is ingrained into it. Okay, why it is steady state thing? Because after one cycle it is periodic. This waveform is periodic, but this in the periodic part, as if there is a exponential part, okay, ingrained, and this exponential part cannot continue. This circuit cannot continue. That is what the problem with the switching circuits is. The switching circuit in the conventional circuit analysis, you let it go. The circuit has no topological change. Here the circuit undergoes a topological change, because here at this point beyond that TH1 and TH4 are not conducting, right? So
sir,
this way,
sir,
yeah.
Sir, I think the value of A should be Vd by R.
We'll see. Not will be Vd by R or not. We'll see. It is not really so. So this is what is the basic way to find out? This is a general thing I have written. What is the basic way we'll be finding out? Finding out is ID is equal to 0 at theta is equal to alpha, and ID is equal to 0 at theta is a general variable is equal to beta. These are the two things. So first thing we'll do is I will put ID is equal to 0 at theta is equal to alpha. Alpha is known because that is the firing angle, and I will find out, calculate A. So calculate A from the first condition, from ID is equal to 0 at theta is equal to alpha. So if I know, then I will get the complete expression of the current, because that is the only one unknown here. That is the complete expression of the current. After getting the complete expression of the current, I will again put ID is equal to 0 and find out at what theta is equal to beta. This will be 0. Then beta I can calculate, right? Calculate A, then calculate theta is equal to beta after getting the complete expression of the current. current, complete expression of the current, right? So let me do it little bit further. I'm just writing it. Hopefully you will understand. 0 is equal to first part Vm. I am writing it as modulus of Z. Modulus of Z is nothing but square root of r square plus omega square L square. Modulus of Z sine of alpha minus phi. Phi is nothing but tan inverse omega L by r. Phi is equal to, phi is defined as tan inverse omega L by r, right? Phi minus VDC by r plus a e to the power minus r by L. Alpha is in radian, so alpha by omega. Time will be alpha by omega, right? So that is the first equation from which I get a is equal to VDC by r e to the power r alpha by omega L, right? A is equal to VDC by r. This is coming that side, minus Vm by mod Z into sine of alpha minus phi into e to the power r alpha by omega L. Right. This is what the expression of A is. Right. This can be calculated. This is not a problem. This can be calculated. Now I put that expression into the basic current expression. ID is equal to Vm by mod Z. I am just writing it again. Sine omega t minus phi minus VDC by r plus VDC by r minus Vm by Z sine of alpha minus phi whole into e to the power r alpha by omega L into e to the power minus r t by L. Right. I have just put A. This is nothing but that. I have just put A here. This is A. I have just put A in the expression, and then little bit arranging it. Little bit arranging it in this manner. So I am writing it as, it is just arrangement. No thing. So that a kind of interesting equation, compact equation can be formed. This is, I am taking Vm by r outside. Vm by r outside. And then I am writing it into omega t minus phi, right? Sine omega t minus phi. This is one part, minus VDC by Vm, right? And that is what I have taken. So plus maybe no, it is complete outside. So then another, so let me put it third bracket, and this is put it second bracket, VDC by Vm minus r by Z into sine of alpha minus phi into this is second bracket, into e to the power minus r into omega t minus alpha by omega L. This is third bracket ends. So it's just taken Vm by r into this. Okay. So so this is, so what I can say is that e to the power minus r into this, the angle unknown angle theta, omega t is equal to theta. I am writing theta minus alpha by omega L, right, is equal to a ratio VDC by Vm. Okay, here also VDC by Vm is there. Okay, and so I don't like to write VDC by Vm VDC by Vm minus, this is equal to 0 again at theta is equal to beta, right? That is the point when it is again 0, minus R by Z into sine of theta minus phi by VDC by Vm minus R by Z into sine of alpha minus phi. Okay, so let me make it clear to you, is that this is the expression of I. This can be written as this V after taking that part into inside, and then we say that at theta is equal to beta, ID is again 0. So ID is again 0. So therefore, this, let me put here beta. Let me put here beta minus alpha into here in place of theta. In place of theta, I put beta minus at beta angle, again it has become 0, and the bottom part is there. So from this is the thing that should be used for solution of beta. This should be used for solve beta from this transcendental equation. It can only be solved by iteration. Can be solved by iteration only. Iteration, though it is only one variable unknown, but still to solve it, we must be using iterative method. Okay, so slightly VD or VDC. Sorry, I will not write V. This is VD. VM, VD. Okay, VD. Yeah, VD by VM. Right. This is VD by VM. Right. Yeah. Did you understand this thing? It is as such, there is nothing difficult. You first find out A and put A, and then again you put at theta is equal to beta, ID is equal to 0. Theta means omega t is equal to theta or omega t. Omega t. Let me write it omega t. Omega t is equal to beta. It is again ID is equal to 0. So from that you have to find out what is beta. Solve beta from this transcendental equation can be solved by iteration only. So we will take such a solution in the next class, and see what are the actual numbers. The problem that I will be taking is Vm is equal to 325 sine 2 pi 50t. You may try to solve it. R is equal to, let us say, R is equal to, let us say, first a few things. First is 0 ohm. No, first is 1 ohm. Let us say 1 ohm. R is equal to 1 ohm. R is equal to 1 ohm, and L is equal to 10 millihenry, and VD is equal to 190 volt. Another interesting, I request you to observe at another very interesting thing. Alpha is equal to 30 degree. First observation is that 2 Vm by pi cos alpha is how much? 2 Vm by pi cos alpha is how much? 2 Vm by pi into cos alpha, if you do, it is how much? 2 Vm by pi cos alpha is how much? Let me do it, calculator. 2 into 325 divided by shift pi into cos 30 degree, cos 30. Yeah, it is 179 volts. So since VD is equal to 190 volt, it must be in DCM. There is no doubt about it. This must be in DCM. That is the first conclusion. Second conclusion is further interesting. I said that it will start conducting at alpha. But look at it very carefully. At alpha, it cannot conduct. Because what is the value of sine wave at alpha? That is Vm sine alpha. How much is the value? Vm sine alpha is how much? Sine 30 into 325. That is 162.5 volt, which is less than 190 volt. So the instantaneous voltage is such that it cannot conduct. The thyristor TH1 and TH4 cannot conduct because the instantaneous voltage, sinusoidal voltage at alpha is equal to 30 degree is 162.5 volts, and it is less than 190 volts, right? So it cannot conduct at that. So at what point it will start conducting? It will start conducting at the point when the input voltage has reached 190 volt. So let me find out alpha 1 at which the voltage is 190 volt. Then only it start conduct. So what is the equation? What is the equation? 2 Vm by pi, 2 Vm by pi cos of alpha 1 is equal to 190 degree, and alpha 1 is equal to how much? 190. No, sorry, not 2 Vm by pi. That is just sine alpha. This is not average. This is the instantaneous voltage. Instantaneous voltage is Vm sine of alpha 1 is equal to 190 degree. So what is 190? 190 divided by 325 inverse sine equals to, yeah, it is 35.77 degrees, 775 degrees. So even though you intended the thyristor to conduct at 30 degree, the thyristor could not start conducting, because had it conducted, the rectified voltage would have been less than the DC voltage. So it would have required the current to reverse flow, which is not possible. So thyristor will not conduct. TH1 and TH4 will not conduct. But what you have done is, you have produced multiple pulses from 30 degree starting. You have started at 30 degree, that is 30 degree, multiple pulses you are producing. So at some point of time, because AC voltage is continuously increasing, at some point of time, this voltage will be equal to 190 volt. So subsequently, the thyristor will conduct, because that time the input AC voltage in magnitude is more than the DC voltage, VD. So the initiation of the conduction will be starting not at alpha is equal to 30 degree, as you might have intended, but it will start at alpha 1. That's why I'm saying alpha 1, which is equal to 35.775. And how can I find out alpha 1? I just equate Vm sine alpha 1 is equal to 190 volts. Right? 190 volts is the DC voltage. So at that point, they're just becoming equal, and subsequently input voltage is increasing, becoming more than the DC voltage. So the thyristors will be forward biased and it can conduct. So this sort of subtle things also you have to observe. You have to observe that if I said that if I given the same problem with alpha is equal to 45 degree, it would not have been a problem. The conduction would have initiated at alpha is equal to 45 degree. Because at alpha is equal to 45 degree, input voltage Vm sine 45 degree is greater than 190 volts. So it would have started conducting precisely at the instant the firing has been done. But if the firing has been done at any angle less than 35.775 degree, it will not conduct for a DC voltage of 190 volt. So the true alpha 1 from which we should start sketching the current greater than 0 is 35.775 degree. And then using the equation above and by iterative method, we will find out the angle beta at which the current will again fall back to 0, where we know phi is equal to tan inverse omega L by R, and we know all the other values. Vd is 190 volt, Vn is equal to 325 volt, omega is equal to 50, 2 pi into 50, and L is equal to 10 millihenry. So with these values, we'll calculate the value of alpha, a value of beta, which is unknown at this point, and we have to guess it, somewhat guess it, and then fine tune the guess. So I request you to practice it. That a reasonable guess. A reasonable guess would be how much? See, the starting angle is 35 degree. It will not go up to 35 plus 180 degree. That is common sense, because 35 plus 180 degree would mean that it would be in continuous conduction mode. So it will be less than that. So choose something. Maybe you can start with 180 degree, then see what happens. Then 190 or 180 or 200 and things like that. You have to little bit do this. I don't know whether your calculator can solve this transcendental equation or not. If they are not able to solve it, if it cannot solve, then you have to do it iteratively. But don't worry about too much accuracy. Any solution which is within 10% accurate is correct in this case. Say what is that?
Like, sir, we can draw the graphs of the two equations on the left hand side and the right hand side, and the point that, at which they will intersect will give us the solution.
Yeah. You can do that. You can, if you want to do graphically, yes. But you know that this unknown variable is there in both sides. It's there in both sides. Here you can see that this is this beta is in this side as well as in this side. You can do that. You can do it. Now it is just how you do it. I do it by simply trial and error, by putting numbers and checking, and then going little here and there. And must understand that it's not required in this case to be very accurate. Plus minus 5% error is accepted. So, and after some time we'll get a good guess. After some time we'll know, after first iteration we'll get a good guess how much change you have to make. So it will not be that much of a problem. Okay. So I have talked today about how to solve a discontinuous equation. Discontinuous equation advantage is that at the time you are firing, or probably at the time when the input AC voltage magnitude is equal to the DC voltage, at that time the current is 0, which is clearly available to you, either directly or from simple Vm sin omega t is equal to Vd, that expression, it is available to you. Then you have to find at another point when it is coming down to 0. So with that alpha and beta values, you can then calculate many things. You can, it's just a question of finding out the average current that will be flowing through the converter, etc., etc. So we'll try to solve it in the next class. I will stop it now. Thanks for listening. Or if you have any small question, you can feel free to ask me.